So there's lots of strategies. We talked about generalized strategies and task-specific strategies. Is there a way that you teach your clients how to know or learn which strategies are working and which ones aren't, rather than just making all these categories and lists?
Yeah. I'm going to invite this one back at you guys now as part of this conversation because I think, Strategize My Life does this very, very well. So maybe you could just tell us what it does, like just explain for everyone who's watching how you might do that through the app, because that is exactly the best way to do it.
Well, so Strategize My Life app, basically what I do is I put down strategies as I learn them in class through Michelle Wild or whatever I find in my day to day, and then I rate them. So I have a little star system. After I've used them, I come back and say, okay, how did that really work? Which gives me the feedback. So then I can say, I can't rate that one because it just clearly didn't work. Maybe I can even take it off. So, yeah.
That's excellent. That's a really good way of doing it. And would you maybe give something a try again if you just thought, I'm not so sure about that? Maybe I'll just try it one more time, or what's your...
Oh, absolutely. I think for myself, I think, well, that was a great strategy. Why didn't it work? What did I do? And kind of, go into why it might not have worked, and maybe I will try it again. So I think that it provides that feedback to gain insight, which is something I lacked a great deal of after my injuries. So, yeah, very helpful.
That's great. And giving you a concrete place to write that information down as well, because the problem is, I guess, if you're not clear on your memory, and if you're remembering it correctly, doing it in the moment, getting that information down in a very contemporaneous way, so you're like, okay, this is what actually happened straight afterwards, so you can come back and review it, is the best way, absolutely. And if you have Michelle's, or hopefully people that have neuropsychologists and other people, occupational therapists, can review those with you and kind of say, help you make those adjustments if you're not able to do them yourself. But yeah, that's a great way to do it. I love that.
What I want to add to that is, Lisa, when you were saying that you might not use it or you might erase it off the app, the one thing that I find that's helpful is because what we tend to do is go back to using a strategy that might not work, and we keep doing it over and over again. So being able to say, making that a low-rated strategy, that eventually the insight will be that, this is one that doesn't work for me anymore because life has changed. And I know that after a brain injury, a lot of us kind of get stuck in doing things that we used to do. We want to be able to do. We should be able to do. And we don't have that accepted thing about what's happened to us. And so we keep trying to do things the way we used to, and to back up and say, you know what, we have a new normal, things are different. And so that strategy, I shouldn't get rid of it because I'm going to probably continue trying using it. But the more I see that it's a low rated one and not to use this, and here's a better one, it really helps. We try to encourage people to not get rid of them, but to make a note saying, what, this is a good one.
Yeah, you might think that you're going to want to try this, but that's a really excellent point. I think this actually sometimes then comes down to preference, doesn't it? Because what Lisa's doing is Lisa really trusts, again, the information she's put in there. So she's like, if it's not on this list, I'm not doing it. And I think that is that's a perfectly okay way to do it as well, isn't it? To say, actually, I will just keep in there the strategies that I know work, and use that as a repository. But I actually also take that point that to prevent you from going back to something that you've tried before, it's really helpful just to put it in there with the information, with the low rating. So it's really clear, okay, I did try this before, because like you say, and it will come around and things come up and you go, no, hang on, I've done this before, I've been here before, let me have a little look. So yeah, I can see a real merit in both of those approaches. Yeah.
I think there's another interesting thing, that a strategy that you can use, especially with technology, whether it's Siri or Android or whatever it is, as you're going in, at least in Strategize My Life, one of the things that, let's say we have a memory strategy, and the memory strategy is the C principle. So C is SEE. It's senses, exaggeration, right, and energize. So this is a technique that I teach my students. So we go in and we incorporate that into the actual notes section in Strategize My Life, because just writing down what the strategy is, the name of the strategy, which is what most people do, in a traditional journal or basic note, is, use Siri for dictation. Okay, so that's a strategy, but it may not, if you're not using that strategy frequently, you need more detail about, how to use that strategy, or
how do you do it?
exactly, when to use it. And so to another strategy in and of itself is to incorporate more detail in that note so that it's not just the name of the strategy and, a little bit of information, but to be able to open that strategy up, at least in Strategize My Life, open that strategy up, see the strategy summary screen, and be able to have all the specifics that you need to know in order to really use that strategy right away. Instead of spending the time trying to think of, okay, when did I use this last? How did it work? What are the steps I need to do? You put all that in there, and now all of a sudden, it becomes a very powerful tool because you have all the details that you need in order to really be successful in using that strategy that works because it's in the app in the case that you just gave us. So, yeah.
That's really excellent. Yeah, and like you say, really noting down those particulars, like doesn't work for this, but okay for that, or use this, and just recording those steps. I guess that example I gave you earlier about the strategy for remembering what end of the field you're playing towards. That it's kind of breaking that down, isn't it? And going, right, you need to do this, and there's kind of divergent, what else do you do? So if the coach isn't there that day, what do you do? Like, so if this, then that, and having that ability to put that real narrative in there is excellent, really excellent. It's like a repository exactly designed for people with these sorts of challenges, so that you can record exactly the information you need, where you need to get it, and it's organized and stored so it's easily accessible. It's great, really great. Yeah.